Welcome, welcome, welcome. Another weekend in October, and in Maryland, it is a little nippy out there. The after effects of the hurricane or Ian or whatever is going on is just affecting us all in a whole. Um, but we're back once again. Hump Day Real Estate with Kendell, the DMV. Today we're gonna talk a little bit about what's going on in the market with mortgages and all. Um, folks, what are you seeing out there? What's the craziness? I'm hearing about layoffs. I'm hearing about a lot of different things. Although I'm also seeing lot of real estate transactions still taking place. Uh, the thing that folks need to pay attention to is that regardless of any uh, market conditions, homes being bought and sold. There's always somebody on. I was just talking to somebody today, and I told him, I said, look, you have to remember that there's always somebody on the upside and somebody's on the downside. And so the person that's still on the upside, or even somebody that's on the downside trying to get up, is always going to find a way. Most people, especially entrepreneurs, they find a way to make things happen to end up on the upswing, or like you say, the rich keep getting richer. And what happens is when those home prices or home purchases start going down, folks that have the money, they buy the homes at a discount rate, and they continue to build wealth for their family. So uh, I'm going to share my screen because what I'm going to start talking about is the cost of waiting for mortgage rates to go down. Buyers, you have to be careful because uh, if the rates don't go down, it does not mean your rents go up by 10% a year. So what's the cost of you not jumping in the market and still purchasing a home? You have to pay attention to exactly what's going on in the market. And so you need to know. So the mortgage rates have increased significantly in the recent weeks. And that may mean you have questions about what this means for you uh, if you're planning to buy a home. Here's some information that can help you. The impact of rising mortgage rates, uh, as mortgage rates rise, they impact your purchasing by raising the cost of buying a home and limiting how much you can comfortably afford. Here's how it works. Let's assume you want to buy a $400,000 home. The median price home, according to the National Association of Realtors, is $389,500. If you're trying to shop at that price point and keep your monthly payments about 2,500 to 2,600 or below, here's how your purchasing power can change as a mortgage rate climbs. And so this is the chart. Well, this one, I got the wrong chart up. I'm sorry. This one. Here we go. So as you're looking at it, at 360,000, starting over here to the right, at a 7.5% interest rate, the payment would be about 2517. You go up to 380, 2657, 400,000, 2797, 420,000, 2937, and you're a little bit over $3,000 if you're at a $440,000 purchase price. And that's at the highest rate of 7.5. If we go down to 6%, which I think that 6%, maybe 6.25 is where I think most rates are right now, and I could be wrong. But at 360,000, you're looking at 2158. So you're looking at a difference of $350 to $400 difference at a $360,000 price point if the rates go up to 7.5%. But the thing is that in that same house, what would the rent be? Would the rent be $2,500, $2,600? Even if it may be $2,200, $2,300, the benefit of actually home ownership would still make more sense if you just discuss it with your accountant or whoever looks at your finances with you. 380,000 at 2278. 400,000 at 2398, 420 at 2518, and 440,000 at 2638. Looking at the 6% down here. They're looking at the 6%. So this is the chart that shows, you know, after the rates go up, if you're going towards between 360,000 and 440,000 home price, this is what you would be looking at. So folks, you gotta, you know, there's that's why it's important to work with you know, with a real estate advisor, so that we can go through the numbers and we can look at what things may look like for you, and then we can actually compare them, and then look at future things that, you know, that are reasons why home ownership is actually a little bit better. A mortgage rate's going to go down. The rise in mortgage rates and the resulting decrease in purchasing power may leave you wondering if you should wait for rates to go down before making your purchase. Realtor.com says this about where rates could go from here. Many home buyers likely wince upon hearing that Federal Reserve yet again boosted its short-term interest rates by 3/4 of a percentage point. A move that's pushing mortgage rates through the roof, and the already high rates are just going to get higher. So if you're waiting for the mortgage rates to drop, you may be waiting for a while as the Federal Reserve works to get the inflation under control. And if you're considering renting as your alternative while you wait it out, remember that's going to get more expensive with time as well. As the Nadia Evangelo, senior economist and director of forecasting in the National Association of Realtors, says there's no doubt these higher rates hurt housing affordability. Nevertheless, apart from borrowing costs, rents additionally rose at their highest pace in nearly 4 decades. 4 decades. Basically, it's true that it costs more to buy a home today than it did last year, but the same is true for renting. This means either way, you're going to be paying more. The difference is home ownership. You're also gaining equity over the time, which will help you grow your net worth. And this is what folks really, really have to pay attention to. Net worth. What is net worth? Got to go and educate yourself on what net worth is and how you get it. You normally don't get it if you don't, if you don't have real estate or some type of asset to bring you to your net worth. The question now becomes, what makes more sense for you? What makes more sense? You'd rather put the money into your landlord's pocket and let him build his net worth, or would you rather build net worth yourself? Bottom line is, you know, get with your trusted advisor and find out so that you know, so you can look into exactly what makes sense for you. If you pay attention to the market, you'll notice that you'll educate yourself that even from 2007, 2008 market crash, home prices went back up. Majority of location markets, the home prices are more today. The value is higher than what was lost in the 2008, 2009 recession. You got to get educated, folks. Come to my channel. I'm educating you every week. You know, like and share. You know, get on board. We're gonna educate you folks so that you know, so you can make a sound decision every time you're looking at one of the biggest investments you may make in life. But we want to get you to where you make multiple big investments, because this is how you build your net worth. This is how you build a future, financial future for your family. It's the backbone. If you go out there and talk to any, look for any what you want to call rich or mega rich, all of them have a portfolio of real estate in one way or the other. So folks, you want to be a part of that as well. Let's get to some more on the long benefits of home ownership, and that's what I'm talking about right now. The long benefits of home ownership. Today's cooling housing market, the rise in mortgage rates and the amount of economic concerns has some questioning. Should I still buy a home this year? We just got finished talking about that. While it's true this year has unique challenges for home buyers, it's important to factor the long-term benefits of home ownership into your decision. Folks, need to talk about it again. We're going to get into it some more. Think about long-term. Even if the interest rates are higher, what could they be long-term? One of the things to think about is, now suppose you get in at a higher interest rate now, you're paying down your principal balance, and then the interest rates go back down to 6%. You're in the house already. It's going to be easier. Now, you're not in the hunt for a house at 6%. You're refinancing the home you already love, the home you made a nest egg, and building your net worth and wealth in. So consider this. If you know people who bought a home 5, 10, 30 years ago, you're probably going to have a hard time finding someone who regrets their decision. Why is that? The reason is tied to how you gain equity and wealth as home values grow with time. The National Association of Realtors says home equity gains are built up through price appreciation and paying off the mortgage through principal payment. You don't pay off principal payments paying the landlord $2,500 a month. You give him money to pay off his. And then if you know any better, you give him money to pay off his and also to go towards his car payment. That's a whole nother thing. Rich Dad, Poor Dad. Go read that book. Go read the Rich Dad, Poor Dad. Kim's Robert Kiyosaki wife Kim wanted to buy a Mercedes, and what you'll find out when you go read that book is that what she did was she went in, and when she wanted to buy the Mercedes, she went and found a vehicle that would pay for that Mercedes every month. And guess what it was? It was real estate. It was real estate, folks. You gotta understand exactly where things are, where things are going, how to build wealth. People do it with real estate. Laura, how are you?
Doing well. Just trying to get my camera on.
Good. Hey, good to see you. Good to see you. So we're talking to folks right now. We're stressing the fact about the long-term benefits of home ownership, even with the interest rates and all going up. And I know you truly believe in the fact that although the rates are going up, it's still a good time to buy, because why would you want to continue? And that's what I was just saying. Why would anybody want to continue to pay somebody else's mortgage and allow them to pay down their equity when they could be doing their own? How you feel about that?
I'm at 100% agreement that real estate is most people's best investment. I mean, first of all, you have to have it for roof over your head, shelter for your family. So it's a necessity. We have to have shelter. And then on top of that, you get the benefit of, building the equity every time you make the payment, and you get the benefit of appreciation as, the market rises. And in most areas, we have a housing shortage, which means that appreciation is still expected. Every major statistic I've seen shows that we're going to continue to have price appreciation 3 to 5%, which is a historic natural growth for housing.
My chart shows national average of over the 5 years, 63.5%. In DC, we're showing 37.5% and house price appreciation. Maryland at 41.2%. Delaware 53.8%. New Jersey 53.4%. Connecticut 49.6%. folks, you gotta you gotta go back and get the resources and look at the statistics of what housing has been doing. And I think, and Laura, you can correct me if I'm wrong, the crash of 2008 was the first time in a long time the housing took a dip. Am I correct? And that
Yes,
type of dip.
yes, and it was a big correction, but it was exacerbated by so many factors. And but even with all of that, it still came back and, in some areas up 50%. So even that dip for a few years was not enough to keep housing from going up and up and up.
One,
Somebody, I don't know who to attribute this to, but it's true. They're not making any more land.
mhm,
It seems
that's for sure.
obvious, but and I don't know really any wealthy people that do not own real estate or don't also, suggest people buying real estate and having investment properties. So I just think it's something that people can do, and they need to do it anyways, because we all need shelter, and we want a safe, secure place to raise our families and create memories. And on top of it, it's a great investment.
They they they
So
they say the rich keep getting richer while we sitting by watching them. One of the things that they invest in is real estate.
right, and allowing fear to stop you from doing something when you can afford to do it, when you have a good job and you have that kind of stability, and you're going to live somewhere anyways. Even if you start small, we talked about this last time, start small. It's not your perfect house, it's not your dream home, it's your starter home. It gets you started in the game, it gets you started in the race, and gets you started in that investment, and it just changes your whole thinking. It changes your life, it changes your family.
Pride of ownership.
Hmm.
You know
And
what?
where there's more ownership, there's more safety and security.
That,
That's
that's
just,
that's the true fact.
yeah. So, and you get to pick where that is. You find the neighborhood and you get in there, you start. Maybe you're going to have to clean it. Maybe you're going to have to, do a lot of landscaping and projects, but it's fun. You're creating, and you're teaching your kids how to do some hard work. You can actually give them allowance to go pick the weeds and, lay out the mulch and, help you tape out the bedroom so that you can do some painting. And, you make it a project
Let me,
and you
let,
get it going.
let me ask you, have you ever had an opportunity to go in and pull at least $100,000 out of your house to do something, whether it was for enjoyment or for another investment?
Yes, absolutely.
And you can't, and where else can you get that from if you don't have a house? You have to go into a bank, look for personal financing, and you can find you can find folks with big businesses making with large revenue that can't even get access to $100,000 personal loan.
It's very hard to get an unsecured personal loan, and the interest rates are super high. So, I mean, nobody's out there worrying about the 20 or 24 or 28% on their,
Car loan.
credit card or their car loan that's bringing them no value, no appreciation. That's the interest working against you. And then they're afraid to pay whatever, 6.5, whatever, even if it's 7, even if it's 8, and buy a house that is bringing you value now and for your future.
But here's the crazy thing, Laura. The landlord that you're paying the rent to was been paying 8% forever. In
Yeah.
order for him to, in certain areas, in order for him to get the house that you're renting, he might have been paying 18% for a private lender, a hard money lender, to buy the house, renovate the house. Might have been stuck with the 18% for a couple of years before he was able to refinance. And the whole time, the renter paid the bill.
Yeah. Yeah. That's a great gig. You know, think about it. And how about some families starting out and buying a multifamily house where they live in one unit and rent out the other unit, or rent out the other 2 units if it's a triplex, or if it's a quad. Get 2 families to buy it. I actually have one of these scenarios going. 2 cousins are buying, it's a quad, and they're going to each live in a unit, and they're going to have 2 rental units. Fantastic.
It's the best of both worlds.
Yes, and that was something I suggested because they were all buying separately. I was like, why don't you buy it together and get a multi-unit? Now they're out looking. It's fantastic. I have another client that's looking for a multi-unit. I had a young woman last year, single mom, and she bought a duplex, and the other unit is practically paying all of the mortgage. I think our mortgage is like $500-600 out of her pocket. Where's she gonna live for $500 or
gonna live for $500 or $600?
Nowhere. It's crazy, you know, but it's great. I mean, look at the investment she's making for her future and for her son's future. It's fantastic. And you can't be afraid. We got to work the numbers. We got to see how you're spending your money. Maybe you can cut back certain places and make this dream a reality. And then you stay there, whatever it's going to be, 3-5 years. I bought a house. I thought I was going to be there 5 years. I was there 7.5 and made a ton of money and moved into something even very much my dream home. Maybe not my ultimate dream home, but one of my dream homes. It's great. But I did it because I took the steps along the road to make it happen.
Yeah, and the class of career workers, some of you folks need real estate to help offset some of those taxes. Again, we're not tax people here, but I'm quite sure I'm hitting the nail on the head for a tax person or an accountant to say, yes, there's some of you that are complaining about how much you're paying in taxes, and you don't have anything to tax shelter it, and then you're wondering why you know, when Trump was in office, he won't let you see his taxes. You know, you might want to look into, you know, talking to those accountants about, hey, do I need to own a piece of real estate or some
Because he
land?
owns a lot of real estate
He owns a lot of real estate.
all over the world, not just here.
So you need to not just ask about why a person doesn't do anything. Go educate yourself and exactly why, and then you start educating yourself on how you can become just like that. Now you only have to be on that scale. It's just the fact that you get your first one, whether it's an investment or whether it's the way you live at, and then you'll start to notice that you might be, with your overtime, making $80,000, $100,000 on your job, and then but your tax advisor is like, hey, you know, you got to spend 20 grand of that or more. I think it was 30 or 40% that you're going to give back to Uncle Sam. How can you offset that to almost down to where you don't get any of it back? Stop looking at somebody and saying, hey, why are they able to do, and find out what they're doing, especially if it's legal.
Yeah, ask them. They'll tell you. That's the great thing about people that have done things. They want to help other people do it too. They really do. They want to help other people, you know, learn and come up and have it a little easier, because they'll share with you how they've been successful. It's really amazing. And even for our self-employed buyers, we have loans that we do not need to necessarily have their tax returns. We can use bank statements or 1099s and help them qualify for real estate. They have to have bigger down payments and better credit, but you know, it still is very doable. So many self-employed buyers have not been able to buy because you were talking about the accountant's doing their job, keeping their tax burden low, but that means they don't show very much income to qualify. Now
Mhm.
we can use their deposits on their bank statements and get them into a house. It's fantastic. We have some tools now to help self-employed buyers get back into the housing market.
And as more people get out of the market, which they have done, these days are the time that you go back and you can negotiate deals better.
Mhm.
Now tell me, Laura, why do you think people always get excited to do things when other people are doing them instead of the other way around? I never could figure that out.
Um, I think, fear keeps a lot of people back, and then they get a little more courage when they see other people doing it a lot. But sometimes you need to be the one that's leading instead of being the ones that are
That
following.
are following and you're
And
paying
you can
more
lead
money.
you can lead your family members and your friends and lead them to success because you were willing to believe in yourself, believe in your family, and go for it. And then you can be the encourager for other people so that they kind of have that permission to do the same and turn the TVs off and stop listening to that nonsense.
Especially on time when things are just not trending. That's when you get the deal. You don't go buy stocks in the stock market when you see that just keep going up. You buy the stocks when they start going down, and then you ride the wave back up. It's the same thing with real estate.
And even if you're taking the higher interest rates, because rates are already up, that horse is out of the barn. When they come back down and you've been making your payments on time and all of these, you still have a good job and all of that, you'll qualify for a refinance. And I refinance and refinance and refinance as the rates came down from my 11%. Then I got in the nines, and then I was in the upper sevens, and then I was in the low sixes. I couldn't believe when I got 5,
Yeah.
So I've owned a house through my highest rate was 11, but I talked to a friend of mine and I didn't even know this until we were talking about it the other week. And she said, her first interest rate was 14 something.
Hmm. And what was that? That was
So
in what,
that was in,
95?
yeah, it was, yeah, because, no, a little bit in mid 80s.
Oh, in the
She
mid
bought
80s.
a little bit like in 86 or
Yeah.
something like that.
Gotcha.
'Cause I
Gotcha.
bought
Yeah.
my first place in 89.
So that's probably when things started to go down, because I know in 95, my cousin had was he was going crazy, but they had bought their first single family home at 13%. Although, and this is what people kind of they don't know how to relate this, and they'll say, well, he got it at 13%, but the sale price was 150. Yeah, but what were the incomes at that time? So you always got to look at all the variables. You can't just go and say, well, if I could have got a $150,000 house at 13%, it would, yeah, but they wasn't making the same thing. Folks who don't know, there was a time when I don't even know what it is anymore. What is it called? When you're the minimum wage was five
Oh yeah, man,
$5 or something.
that was less than that. My brother, he keeps all his paychecks, which is kind of crazy, but at the same time, it's very interesting. And he was paid, I think he said $1.86 an hour at, my dad owned a gas station at the time, and he
Wow.
was and I worked there too, but I did not have my first paycheck to remember that, and we were just literally just talking about that. So $1.86 an hour. And I know my dad also owned a car wash right on Georgia Avenue by the Beltway, by Seminary Road. He owned that car wash for 30 years. And I worked there, and I remember making like $3 an hour, and I worked like 12-hour days. I was
My,
the
I,
only one of my friends that worked, and I worked all weekend.
I think my first I worked at Little Caesars Pizza in Baltimore, and I think my first pay was either 5 and a quarter or yeah, I think it was 5 and a quarter. I was 16, and then I think my first, I'm gonna call it a kind of real job because it was in radiology. I think that first job paid about 6 and a quarter starting out and
Yeah,
doing
so
clerical work.
it's very, very relative.
And,
Yeah, we weren't making a whole lot of money, so the
and,
housing prices weren't that high.
and I'm gonna add though, at 6 and a quarter, at 21, I bought my first house.
That is
And
awesome.
it
At
wasn't that
21.
I mean, to if you look at it today, I think it was $69,000. It wasn't that expensive, but at 6 and a quarter, you know, it's if I had some money I saved up, and I had the credit score, and I bought my house. I did have to for that price range. I think if I would have looked at something $10,000 less, I wouldn't have needed a cosigner. But I wanted to be where I was looking. So for the additional 10,000, I had my mom co-signed. I got her on the loan, got her off after the next year, refinance and got off.
And I bet you she was happy to do it.
She was
She was
happy
probably so proud of you to be
to
buying a home at 21. Like,
to
that's amazing.
it probably was even unbelievable because her and my dad hadn't even bought a house yet. She bought
Wow.
her home right after I bought mine. So
Yeah. See, you actually led the way in the family and showed that it could be done.
yeah,
And that's what other people need to do. They just need to be the one that steps up and says, I'm not going to be afraid. I'm going to go after my dreams. Nobody's going to stop me, and do it. And if it's a 3 to 5 year plan and you end up being there 6.5, you're still working your plan. And then you move, maybe you start in a townhouse and then you move to a bigger townhouse or a single family after that. But most people's first home is not their last home. And you will not have your dream home if you don't buy your first home.
and some of the opportunities that most people are not able to take is because they don't have that home ownership with the equity increasing that you could possibly dig into after that home, after you take on the position of home ownership, and then opportunity comes and you need $50,000. You don't know where you're going to get it, but you have it in equity in your home, and you have the credit score and everything to go get a HELOC or to do a cash out refinance.
And that's how a lot of small businesses are born.
Yeah.
So it's just good all around. It's good for your, mental well-being. It's good for your family. It's good for the community. It's good for your wallet. It's good for your retirement. And I've bought and sold in every market since the 80s, and I've never once been disappointed or upset or even worried about it. And really, during 2008, you did not have to sell your house. If you can tide through, the bad weather, the rainy storm, and all of that good stuff, you have some savings. You don't worry about it. Like right now, our stocks are going down, and I'm still buying stock.
You got to buy
And
stocks.
I looked at it today. I didn't start crying. I was like, oh,
It's
it's
time to
down,
buy
but
more.
unless I cash it in, it's not real. It's just on paper.
It's time to buy more. You got some extra money, throw some more at it. You just bought more of Microsoft or Apple at a lower cost, and at some point, if you chose the right companies, it's like if you chose the right house in the right neighborhood, it's going to go and the value is going to increase.
Yep, I put money in every month.
So here's the thing I want to challenge you with that I think it's been itching me to tell people about nowadays, especially with car loans and all of the interest rates being high. What if you had a mortgage and you have all this equity and you get forced or you just want to go out and buy a vehicle? And with the rates being as high as they are out there, have you ever heard of somebody either refinancing or getting a HELOC and then refinancing and buying a vehicle? Does that make any sense to you?
Yeah, I do have a family right now who's using the equity in their home, and we're going to pay off, and they're in business. They have a business, so they're paying off a whole bunch of debt, consolidating, and they have a vehicle, for their business,
So,
and it's going to reduce their overall out of pocket,
yep.
monthly out of pocket.
So,
So it's going to really help them financially, because it's going to improve their cash flow, which will allow them to invest more in their business.
yep.
So yes, they are doing it.
Yep. So I think in 2004, I did it. I got a whiff of from somebody, and a bunch of people told me, no, why would you ever put a car into your house? I said, I'm not putting a car into my house. I'm using the equity that I have, and I'm paying the car off. I got a $438 car payment. I'm going to take that, pay it off. And then I was educated by a smart person that said, don't just refinance and pay it off, and then put it in a 15. Guess what happened? The loan I had was going to be 7-year term on the vehicle. I paid the $27,000 off for that 2003 truck, and I think it was 3 or 4 years. And I ended up only paying an additional $50 to $100 a month more on my mortgage payment.
Yeah. My customer, I think they're saving a couple $1,000s a month, even though the rates are up. But the rates on their credit cards and the truck loans, and are a lot more than that. A
And
lot more than that.
and that's
So
what the people are not even thinking about. The folks who the folks who are that need to be thinking about buying, and the folks who just are not thinking about selling. What are you doing with the equity in your home? Could you use it? Could you go out and take care of all your bills? Could you go and buy the new car that you actually need? I'm not going to be condone the wants, but you do what you want. But this will make sense even if you have the wants. And then you go back and you refinance, and your payment is lower. You don't
and
have a $2,000 payment and a $800,000 car payment. A $2,000 mortgage and $800 car payment.
yeah, and if you can go to a shorter term, like a 15-year or a 20-year loan, and shorten the term, you can cut down a lot of interest that you're paying, and it really makes some good sense.
I was looking at, and I think I got a little hung up on some other things. After that 4 years, I had enough equity that I could have went back and bought another brand new truck. And then because I bought a Toyota anyway, you buy a Toyota and you buy a Honda, they hold value. So I could still sell the Toyota and still make some money, and then still go back and do it all over again, even with Toyota building a bigger, more powerful truck, and then it costs more. I could have done it all over. I just thought about it a couple of months ago, because I'm thinking about I want another big Toyota truck, right? But it's $45,000 to $60,000. Do I
Yeah,
want that
trucks are
big?
really expensive, really, really expensive.
Do,
So
do
yeah, it's definitely a possibility. You just have to crunch the numbers and see if it makes sense. I do recommend that people don't do that if they're just going to max out their credit cards and again and do crazy
yeah,
stuff.
don't
You don't want to just be consuming your equity, but if you really make a plan and you execute the plan, it does work.
yeah. I I I I I understand the part about trying to pay off the bills, but I'm like, these people that actually, I just had 3 people that had to go buy cars, and all of them was talking about how high the interest rate was, what their payment is now. And I'm like, you also have about 150. I sold them the home. You have about $150,000 worth of equity in your house. I can show you how to change the dynamics of that payment, because you're crying right now because you did not expect that especially on a lease, that your lease payment was now going to be $150 more than your previous lease payment because of how much the cars cost now.
Yeah, because car payments are very long now. 7 years is very typical. Maybe
Yeah.
maybe the preferred. I think they go longer now. I think you can get a longer, on some of the higher end cars, longer than 7 years.
So Laura, we're almost coming we're about at the end. If folks wanted to reach you in regards to doing that type of refi, getting information on, looking at the equity that they have in their home, paying off their bills, maybe, they might have that big car loan that it would make more sense if they combine the two, looked at the 15 or 20-year mortgage, how can they reach you?
They can reach me, and I don't have my billboard behind me
I
this
see
evening like
again.
I normally do. So thank you. I just realized that as we were talking. 301-674-7716. That's my cell, 301-674-7716. So it's easy to get hold of me.
Folks,
Same cell number for the last, I guess, 20 some years.
sound like me. If I didn't switch phones, I wouldn't know that I had a new anything, because the number has been the same forever. So if anybody wanted to reach me, they could always, from 30, maybe 20, 30 years ago. But real quick for you folks out there, if you're looking, I haven't been doing this, but I gotta start doing it because I also want to build my channel. So if you can hit the like button and subscribe, that'll help us out. And then guess what? Every time we come on here and you get Hump Day Real Estate, guess what? It will automatically notify you that, hey, I'm up here making some noise. Miss Laura, as always, I appreciate your time and jumping on.
Absolutely. I love talking to you. And I have a little trick for you. So when we
Okay.
talk next time, remind me.
All right, I got you. Well, I appreciate you again. And this is Hump Day Real Estate with Kendell, DMV, and we're signing off. Have a blessed
Take
one.
care, everybody. Give me a call. I'm happy to help you.
Thank you.